Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of Manifest. I feel like I said that weird. Very interesting. Like, obviously, I'm going into this. A lot of the stuff we've seen from the previews basically came from the first episode, but it does seem like we are elaborating a lot more. So basically, we find out a lot about Michaela and Ben's family dynamic. It seems like a lot of stuff went down with them in particular. Like, the fact of the matter is, prior to getting on the flight, the fact is that she was in a car accident, and there was someone Evie was killed. I'm assuming maybe that was her daughter or something, or someone else, because it was someone that was with her. So I'm curious who that was, like what that whole situation is, because that seems to be the biggest thing Michaela has guilt about. I mean, like, for one, this whole 5-year period of being gone has turned everyone's lives upside down. It's interesting because it seems like for now we're following one family, but probably as the series progresses, we'll probably, especially the way the line, I'm skipping around here, but at the end where she's kind of like, oh, we will get to know each other, like we'll get to know everyone on that flight like we know ourselves, that it's probably like a hive mind connection where they either like, because it seems like this series might be a situation of like connections, like all this stuff in life, like all those flights, like all this stuff is part of some bigger puzzle piece, and they're all kind of like coming together for it. So like either they'll telepathically know a lot about each other, or the fact of the matter is they'll kind of inadvertently pop up in each other's lives in some shape or form. Because we see that in multiple ways already, because for one, take Sanvi, which the actress who plays her seems so familiar. I don't know what I recognize her from. There's actually a couple actors, but I'll kind of get to that in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is her research is what's going to ultimately save Cal, because it's saved a lot of people in the past 30 months that it's been used. Like that has saved a lot of people's lives. And it's like she just happens to be on the same flight that Cal is on. A boy, like the research she's working on could cure, so. But she was struggling with the whole situation of like, I guess the person she works for didn't want to use Cal as one of their subjects, because basically they're in a process of being bought out by like a like a big pharmaceutical company. But the problem is like Cal is unsure factor because of his whole condition, not just being sick, but also just like the 5-year period. So he doesn't want to jeopardize like their record of like, this research has done amazing things. I've helped a lot of people. Like the amount of people that are cured and better from this whole situation, are very high numbers, and Cal's situation might jeopardize that. So it's kind of more the money situation. It's not for Sanvi, but that's the question though. Did Sanvi feel that way naturally? Which I kind of think so, because we never got inside of her head like we did Ben and Michaela. But maybe there was some voice in her head telling her, no, this is the right thing to do. Save him. Maybe. I'm also curious because it seems like, and maybe that's a point too, it seems like Cal might be the only kid that was on that flight, potentially, is what it seems like to me. But maybe that's not the case. But I had brought it up. I would quickly bring it up. It's just kind of interesting actor-wise and stuff like that. The actor who plays Grace, I've seen her before. I think one of the things I've seen her definitely in was like Low Winter Sun, but there was something before that I'd seen her in that I can't remember. It's kind of interesting, like when you want to nitpick things, like there's Marvel actors, because Josh Dallas is, him and Zachary Levi switch back and forth with the character of one of Thor's friends. So there's that. Plus there's the fact is that, the actor who plays Uncle Pete in Luke Cage Season 2 is in this. Then there's the actor who plays Jared. Isn't that the same dude that's in Jessica Jones Season 2? Like one of the new characters. It's like, that's just interesting how that all kind of worked together like that. Just Marvel. I don't know. It's just me kind of pointing at it. I thought it was kind of funny. Another aspect of Michaela's life that kind of sucks, because it's like, oh yeah, you come back and find out that your boyfriend / fiance who proposed to you. I think it was more so just the fact that her parents pushing her to do it, plus the fact is of what she had been through recently, that she was just reluctant to say yes. And now she, got off the plane wishing she had said yes. And it turns out, oh, he remarried. He got married. Oh, and to none other than your best friend, which is like, that was a little tidbit of information to drop. That's going to come back in some shape or form. So that's interesting. Also, we find out Michaela was a cop. I don't know. I just didn't expect that to be her storyline. Like, oh, wow, you're a cop. Like, no, because it's interesting because like, I mean, I guess it's a flight full of people, so anyone could be anything, but it's just kind of interesting to think like a cop, investigative instinct and stuff like that would be a part of this. It seemed like Ben might be some kind of psychologist, the way like Michaela was like, yeah, don't try it and like psychologically like diagnose me or whatever. So it seems like that might be what happened there, but I don't know. Cause there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot to this, because apparently I had no idea about the voices thing. I don't know if that's anything that came up in the trailer at all. And it seems like whatever is happening to Ben and Michaela isn't just them. I'm sure it's happening to everyone else, but they're the only ones we focus on, like, because everyone went to the plane at the end of the episode, so it does seem like, obviously, they all had, like, the mental image of, like, oh, getting drawn to the plane. But it seems like whatever's in their head predicts the future. What's interesting, though, is that it's their own voice. So some God, some higher power or something gave them, is either manifesting itself as inside of their heads, or we're talking to like in that 5-year period. Because part of me was wondering, like, is it like a time travel thing where it's kind of like they went to the future, like in that 5-year period, and then they pop back into present day, but they subconsciously don't remember everything that they learned in the future, and now it's subconsciously coming back to them like that in some weird way, or what? Like, the question is, like, because we even saw it ourselves, like, from their perspective, it was like the blink of an eye, like that 5-year skip. It was just like, it didn't seem like, I mean, but to be fair, we don't know. Maybe in that, like, legitimately in the blink of an eye, something happened to them. We know they went through a storm, but like, did they travel to the, because it didn't seem like they just traveled for the future. It seems like they were somewhere in stasis for all that time. Maybe they actually had like an adventure all their own that we just don't know about yet. Like, that's the biggest question, obviously, going forward. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Like, whatever it is, it manifested itself in this form. Like, Michaela telling the bus driver to stop, and a kid just will slow down. And just as he's slowing down to stop, like, a kid runs out in the road, and her telling him to stop saved that kid's life. And then there's like, oh, set them free. They set some dogs free. Because Ben didn't want to say anything about hearing the voice too, because Michaela's like, you made me seem like I was crazy. But for him, it's like, I don't want to get caught up in all of this. I got so much to worry about already. But at the same time, it's like, you act like you're the only one. Like, my life literally turned upside down. We both came back and found out our mom died, And she had this quote, all things work together for good. Which, very applicable to their situation, because like all the people in that flight, from the pilot to all the individual people and the flight attendants, like, all seem to be under effect. Like, everyone that was on that plane is being affected. And the question, like, being, is it just, because there's signs everywhere too, like number 828. For one, that's the flight number they were on. That address where they released the dogs, there's like an 828 there, like at least on the fence. I don't know if I didn't catch it whether or not that was in the address or not. But then at the same time, like, also the quote her mom has is from the Bible. It's like 8. I don't know Bible. Verse 28 is one of them. I don't know. So that number is consistent. So maybe that's something we'll see kind of pop up here and there, over the course of the series too. Like, I don't know. I'm very interested to find out like what that's all about, because it isn't just about, this crazy thing that's happening to them. It's also like their personal lives being turned upside down. Like, obviously, like Michaela running into her ex in that complicated situation. Because I was curious, because they kept bringing it up throughout the episode, like the whole case that Jarrett's working on about the 2 missing sisters. And then they're just like the moment it was like, set them free. And I'm like, it's not talking about the dogs. It's got to be. And it turns out, yeah, it's for the girls. That guy whose dogs they released that dude was the one who abducted the girls. The question then becomes like, it seems like when it was saying set them free, it meant the girls, but it makes you wonder, like, everything works out, kind of like the connectivity of it all, like everything kind of works out anyway. So was releasing the dogs the necessary step to kind of releasing them? Because by releasing the dogs, it got Jarrett's attention, because like someone nearby recorded them and reported them by kind of breaking in, but all they did was release the dogs. And because that's why I was like, yeah, why is releasing it? I was like, are they going to do something good? Like, what's going on there? Like, what's going to happen there? But it's like, if you hadn't released the dogs, you wouldn't have come back later on with Jarrett, wouldn't have gotten Jarrett's attention, who would have dragged you back there later on because he wants to make sure your reputation, because you getting caught up in something, basically breaking into someone's property, not a good thing for a cop, especially in her current situation. So it's kind of like, he wanted to try and mediate that situation, and it turns out that led to her to kind of, to the kid. So the question then becomes like, does one lead to the other, or was the main objective? The main objective is always the girls, but was it like, was there a more direct line to it, or was there supposed to be this roundabout way just because of just how everything works? You know, it's just kind of every little thing connects, you know? So it's just kind of fascinating to think about. It seems like, and I also thought that was kind of a powerful moment too when you had the whole Grace conversation with Ben, because she talks about the fact is that she hated him because it's like, I already had such a small amount of time with Cal. I only have about 6 months left, and then all of a sudden it's like you take that flight, he's gone, and you almost took that time away from me. You did, because I had now spent the past 5 years hating you for it, but now it's like, it all worked out for a reason, because it's like, you went on that flight because Cal needed to be on that flight so that he could come back to be cured now. Because even Sanvi's kind of like, I was in a position, like, we were gone so that I can come back to find out my research is working well. And I just happened to be on a flight with this kid who's in the same situation. And like, I was brought back to save him, and he was brought back to be saved by me. You know, so again, the word I keep using, the word of the video is connectivity. Serendipity, I guess, would be another. I mean, that is one of my favorite words too. Like, I talked about that. I haven't used it in a while in the recordings. I don't think I have. But I also, you know, I thought it was also kind of on the same line as the whole situation with Olive and Ben. Because for him, it's like, I honestly was so focused on extending Cal's life that I wasn't paying attention to your life, and you were stuck picking up the pieces, because it turns out she's going to therapy and stuff. Like, you were stuck picking up the pieces to everything because of me. And he's like, I'm apologizing and I'm gonna make it up to you. It's like, you know, because for everyone, it's like, we were given this second chance. Let's not waste it. So what's interesting though is it seems like there's somebody texting Grace. I'm assuming it's like her new husband or something, but you know, and because whoever it is, like, even Olive is like, what are you going to do? So it must be that she got remarried, because you know, because once again, it's like everything she was going through with Olive, like their trauma, like losing Ben and Cal, that was a heavy burden on its own. It seems like there were issues to begin with, so it makes you wonder, was it an affair type of situation? I'm kind of leaning more towards like, no, it would happen after Ben and Cal disappeared type of situation. So. But it's like, because everyone, I mean, I guess just everyone's trying to, you know, figure this whole thing out. Because it's interesting, too, because even Michaela said at the beginning, it's like, if you want to, I know you don't want me around your kids, you know, the problematic sister. And she's like, no, you stay here as long as you need to. The question then becomes, like, what happened between them? Is it connected to the car accident? Like I said, the Evie that died, like I said, was that like Michaela's daughter, or like what was that whole situation about? Like, we still kind of not 100% confirmed about that. So what's very interesting too is that the fact is that the plane was destroyed at the end. Like, whatever force made them or brought them back, like as Michaela says in the VO, it's like, oh no, like it doesn't want to be investigated. So, which is interesting, because that means there's something that would have been found. Because they combed a plane, and then one of the agents was like, tomorrow we're going to break that plane down piece by piece, because we don't know, you know, we got to figure out what happened here, you know? So, like I said, I'm very interested. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I saw from the previews came from like this first episode. So I'm very interested going forward to see like what the rest of the series has planned out, because obviously like this big mystery, but what it means going forward with everything. Will we see these kind of powers or visions or whatever manifest in a different manner? Will we be able to see people doing more? Because like I said, because the only person that didn't go there was Cal, and we see him kind of wake up when the plane explodes. So maybe he's kind of more of a conduit to whatever this greater power is. Maybe they all are. Like I said, there are a lot of unanswered questions. You know, hopefully we get more and more on that answered as we progress through the season. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good